Can I ask you a question? Can you please stop doing that with your nose just for a second? I need to ask you a question, and I need you to answer it completely honestly.
Okay.
When you texted me at midnight, did you honestly think that I was going to be up to reply to you?
Yeah.
That's such BS. Like, you texted me going, did you see the ending? I was playing softball for 2 hours. I had to be up at 5 a.m. I'm not going to be up at midnight.
You work in radio. We don't sleep anyways. Am I supposed to have sympathy for you?
No, I'm just saying that why would you even text me at midnight thinking
because
that I'm going to be up?
I was really excited about the show, and I had to tell someone.
Did you watch
Sorry
it?
for texting you, Fink.
At midnight. I appreciate
I should have
that.
called you, actually. That would have been more fun.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great. Actually, my phone is on Do Not Disturb, so yeah. Although, I think with Do Not Disturb, if you call like twice or 3 times like really quickly, I think it goes through. It
alerts it?
Yeah, I think it lets you through.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
No, I shouldn't have let you know that. All right, so we got a lot to talk about on this week's episode of the Totally Spoiled podcast. I'm having issues talking already.
Did you get hit by the bat quite a few times?
No, but I got hit by the ball. Okay, we don't have time for that. It's good to be back because we weren't here last week because of Thanksgiving.
I know. How was it, by the way? You were in South Carolina.
And you were in North Carolina. See,
right?
you're having problems talking too.
It's your fault.
Maybe we should just start this entire episode over again. Like, if we're already, like, messing up our speech 2 minutes in.
But where's the fun in that?
No, the fun is going to be editing this. That's where the fun is going to be. So we have not 1, but 2 episodes of This Is Us to talk about.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about whether you are Team Randall or you are Team Beth.
Oh.
We're going to have to get to the bottom of that. Also, there's a show that a new study has shown might be contributing to teen suicide.
Okay.
There was this new study I saw. We'll talk about that coming up. Really quickly, and of course there's no good transition, but shout out to Lance.
Yes!
Who's listening?
Lance.
Is it Colorado?
Yes,
Colorado.
Colorado.
That he listens in? Yep. That's so awesome. He sent you an email saying yours and Brian's podcast knocks all the doors that iHeart is looking for in using podcasts to develop talent. Could easily be converted into a morning show for all the PDs listening to the Totally Spoiled podcast right now.
We're ready for our big break.
Please ignore the first 2 minutes of us stumbling and not being able to speak English. That is not how we would start our show every morning.
I am bilingual,
yes.
And he's learning. He knows tacos part of our menu.
But I'm bilingual too. I'm trilingual. So what are you talking about? I trump your crap. French and Hebrew.
Okay, lay it on me. Let's go.
Bonjour and shalom. There we go. That's all I need to give you.
Okay.
Lance also said I could see you guys killing it in mornings. Thank you so much, Lance.
Thanks, friend.
I appreciate it. That's so awesome. Which, by the way, if you want a shout out on the Totally Spoiled podcast, at Brian Fink, at April On Air, you can email us. We'll give you a shout out.
Or tweet us.
That's what I said. At Brian Fink. Man, we are not doing good for all the PDs listening. Oh, Tanya, thank you so much for listening as well. Oh my God. Really quickly, before we get into totally spoiling some TV, I want to talk about Macy's. Did you see what they're doing with the letters to Santa?
So I saw you post about this, but explain it, because you've written already, like what?
3.
2?
No,
3.
3. Oh, when I was on the can, I was writing another letter to Santa. So here's the awesome thing that Macy's is doing, and it's so simple, but it's so good. They have a website that you can go to. You can write a digital letter to Santa, which I think you can actually print it out and put it in the mail too. But it takes less than 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And for every letter, they're donating $1 up to $1 million to make a wish.
That's amazing. And that's just in the U.S. or anywhere?
Why are you getting specific? It's not like we have a lot of international listeners to the Totally Spoiled podcast.
English is my second language. Okay?
That's the only reason you're on the show.
Okay? Ouch. Santa, please put him on the naughty list. Help the kids, but not Fink.
Well, write that in a letter to Santa. That would be $1 donated by Macy's.
$1 for kids? A -1 for Fink.
I don't need it.
I'm in.
But that's how amazing it is. Like
that's awesome.
This is why I was posting so much about it yesterday and writing so many letters to just show how quick it is, and like it's for such a good cause. That literally, like, you can just Google Macy's and letters to Santa, or you can hop on my blog at 933flz.com. I've got a link up there. It's just so easy.
Simple
And $1
act.
like
Simple
that.
act that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
All right, let's
Right
do
on.
some spoiling.
Let's
At
do it.
Brian Fink, at April on air. Thank you so much for following and subscribing to the Totally Spoiled podcast, because you'll get a notification when we put a new one up. Like last week, we weren't here.
Right to my phone.
Right, exactly.
Right
Why-
to my phone.
Oh, on your watch. I'm like,
Right
what
to
are
my
you
phone.
doing? You get the notification. Plus, you can follow on YouTube as well. Before we get into talking about 2 episodes
Yep.
of This Is Us, there was this study that, and we talked about this,
Uh-huh.
that 13 Reasons Why is contributing possibly to teen suicides.
Why did I have a feeling it was going to be that show?
We talked about this.
See, here's the thing, Brian, and it's left up to like interpretation for everyone, how they view things, et cetera, et cetera. That's supposed to educate people on what not to do.
But the problem is that when you're watching it, and again, we talked about this when we were totally spoiling it, it's easy to kind of relate with the characters, and if you're going through that, then it's very possible. It said a new study from the University of Michigan found that the controversial Netflix show 13 Reasons Why may have increased the risk of teen suicide. They surveyed 87 teenagers who were being treated in psychiatric emergency departments for suicide-related concerns, and over half of them said that when they were watching the show, it increased the risk of suicide due to identifying with Hannah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't think, because we watched all of it. So I'm going to ask you your opinion from witnessing that as a viewer. Wouldn't that, I don't know if to say scare you, but wouldn't it want to push you away from going through some
Honestly?
traumatic?
No.
Really?
If I was going through that,
Yikes.
I could totally see how you would relate to the character. Just like when you're watching This Is
relate
Us.
emotionally, but
Right.
physically taking
But
any
if-
action.
But listen, if you're that low and if you're already having those thoughts and you see the character be able to escape by doing what she did, I can see how you would go, okay, I mean, if she did it, then I can do it. It's an easy escape. Let's do it.
That just makes me really
Yeah,
sad.
I mean,
I can understand how and why and your point in saying it, but I feel like that was used as a platform to educate people on what the effects of doing something like that can cause. Not so much, it sounds hard to say, but not so much to yourself, but the ongoing effects of everything and everyone around you.
But we talked about it,
You know?
about how we kind of put that warning that if you are not in the right place emotionally, or if you're going through stuff, don't watch it.
The show does it. It does it in itself as well, but I think it says it in a way. If you're under a certain age, please watch with parental
Watch with
guidance
somebody so you can talk to
so
somebody.
going along the same lines.
Well, what's
but-
crazy is I saw this study yesterday, and then this morning a notification popped up on my phone from, I think, USA Today.
Uh-huh.
And it was a story that my mom killed herself in the Grand Canyon, and I needed to know why. And at the bottom of the notification, it said, trigger warning. And I thought, that's brilliant. Like, that needs to be almost at the beginning of every episode of 13 Reasons Why.
I don't think I've ever seen
I've
anything
never
like that.
seen that.
It took me a second to process what you were saying, but I'm like, wow, that's genius.
Exactly, because it warns you that if, God forbid, you're going through something right now, this might not be the right story for you to watch because it could trigger something. And that was the first time I'd seen that.
I think it's genius, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a slight second. I'm going to use myself as an example. When you tell me not to do something, it makes me curious, or not see something. It makes me curious to do so. So
Yeah.
that can go both ways, just like the episode as well. But if you're at least in a stable enough mindset and you're working through something, it puts a caution out there.
Exactly.
Yellow tape.
Exactly.
Yellow tape to, hey.
It's like,
back
whoa,
away.
hey,
Right.
this might not be the right story for you to look at right now.
Right.
I had never seen that, but I thought it was a great thing to they can throw it on the beginning of episodes of 13 Reasons Why. Just put trigger warning or some kind of, because they do it kind of after. I don't remember if they do it before every episode. I know they do it afterwards, where they put up like the crisis line and
to
talking.
reach out.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be something that they put before the episode starts.
Would make sense.
If they don't already. Yeah. All right, so 2 episodes of This Is Us. By the way, congratulations to Mandy Moore, who got married while we were on Thanksgiving vacation. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Or excuse me, remarried. Because of course she's married to Jack. So she had to get remarried at some point. And congratulations to me. It was a beautiful wedding from the pictures that she posted.
Where did they get married?
I don't know. My invitation got lost in the mail. So I really didn't. Yeah, I was kind of upset.
Princess.
I was kind of upset about that.
Princess.
But I won't let that hinder my feelings on Mandy Moore.
We're going to work past that.
I'm going to work past that.
Okay.
2 episodes because we weren't here for Thanksgiving last week. We were on vacation. And the Thanksgiving episode was amazing.
I totally know what you mean now when you said you need to watch this and it's great. Holy cow.
Yeah, because I watched it, I think on Sunday when I got back. You were just coming back from North Carolina?
Right, yeah, Sunday night. So I doubled up. I watched Thanksgiving episode and last night together. So I watched it back to back.
So you got your whole 2-hour episode going on.
Finally, it happened. It wasn't in my imagination.
Let me ask you, if somebody asked you one person that has made the greatest impact on your life, could you name one person? This was Child Randall's essay for college, and it made me start thinking, I'm like, there have been so many people that have impacted my life and my career and the direction that I've gone. I don't know. Like, I could think of, and I think I've told the story of Miss Stallings before.
Yep.
Miss Stallings was my English teacher, and in high school, I was going through a lot of stuff in high school, and like a lot of the kids that were putting me through that stuff were in my class.
Yeah.
And we had to write an essay about this book called I'm brain farting on the book. Mm-hmm. And we had to write the essay, and then she made us read the essay out in front of the class. Yeah, and my essay was all about how I was being picked on and all this stuff, and I had to read it. So I can look back, and her decision to make us read that out was kind of a defining moment for me.
Moment of courage and a moment of putting everything and anyone aside. And
so I can see her as somebody who's had a great impact on my life.
I gotta tell you, that I would say that scene, but it was a series of scenes, was really impactful. I can absolutely relate with him, and the fact that he said the question is flawed.
Yeah.
I was like, honey, you are so well spoken, so incredibly well spoken and intelligent, and that is a flawed question, because I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago,
right?
Much less 10 years ago. And the people that influenced me 3 years ago are different and in different ways than when I was going through my adolescent stage, so you can give a generic response like mom or dad, and believe me, in my life and through my experience with both of my parents, they both really influenced me. I don't want to say negatively, but impacted me through negative or dark times. That
you kind of learned from it, and
I absolutely. And then as well as good, but it depends what that situation was. So Randall could not have said it more perfect, and I relate and agree 100%. A question like that is flawed. I don't think there can be one specific person to sum up your entire life that has influenced you so immensely.
And I love how they perfectly tied it back around the writing of it, going to the fireman at the end.
I know.
It was that was such an amazing whole, like you said, series of scenes that they were doing. It was so
beautiful.
It was so good seeing Toby back to being somewhat Toby.
Yes.
He still had a lot of issues. Like when he screwed up the recipe and started flipping out because Randall's recipe is so perfect and broken down, and he ends up getting
response. Can we say Kate's response?
And he ends up getting the takeout I mean, it was great.
My boy.
It was awesome.
My boy.
There was a lot that was developed, like a lot of character developments in the Thanksgiving episode, like Tess.
Totally wasn't expecting that.
Was not. I mean, that was a Hail Mary. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Oh yeah, it adds a different dimension to that family. Just one more thing. I will ask, out of curiosity, do you think her grandfather helped her break out of that shell?
Her seeing William?
Yep.
Possibly.
And help define who she was as a person.
And maybe, and I didn't even think about that until just now, maybe that's why they went back and built William's story so much.
In that same episode.
Exactly. So it kind of reminded us about that. I didn't even think about that. Absolutely it could have. But I love, like, it was the small stuff, like when she's talking with Kate and she gets done with coming out to Kate.
Yeah.
And the smile on her face, like she was just so kind of relieved and happy to finally have told somebody.
Well, imagine holding something in for so long and something that you don't know how someone else is going to take it. And it's not just someone else. You're like your mom and dad.
Right.
That's not easy.
And especially at such a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're already starting to figure everything out and your feelings and everything.
And on top of that, like, it was just whammy after whammy, because during that same episode, I'm assuming it was the same week, like, we discover, like, she starts her period too, which is like, welcome to womanhood.
Which I know all about that. I mean, that was hell for me to go through.
Please tell me about it.
Oh, my God. Like, I was walking in the grocery store with my mom, and we passed by the tomato juice aisle. And I said, you know what, Mom? You see that tomato juice right there?
Tell me more. Because let me tell you, I don't know if we have time in this podcast.
We don't.
I have... That's you being like, let me shy away from this. I've got a very embarrassing story.
Really?
Really embarrassing.
Is it a quick story? Can you tell her really quickly?
I can make it in like 20 seconds.
Go ahead.
Within the first 6 months of me getting my period, I remember I was in 7th grade. I was obsessed with this one kid, Travis. I remember his name.
Oh my God, Travis listens.
You hush. And oh my God, it probably had to be sooner than like 3 months. I wore, oh my God, Fink, white, like Snow White pants.
Oh God.
Snow White. Had no idea. Like, I was like, what? You're 12? 11? I was 11. I was 11. And then I start to feel really weird. And I was like, I don't know.
Oh God.
I have Travis tap me behind.
We're God.
We're waiting at the pickup line. It's end of day. We're waiting at the pickup line for our parents to come pick us up. And I remember leaning over one of my best friends. Her name was Stephanie. I don't talk to Stephanie anymore, but she came in clutch. She was funny. I was behind Stephanie, giving her a hug, kind of like God. Almost jumped on her. And Travis taps behind me. He's
God.
He's like, hey, I think you need to go to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Brian, I died. I couldn't see him. My mom, I made her not take me to school for 2 days. 2 days.
Oh, I don't know if I'd ever bounce back.
And I dreaded going back. Dreaded it.
So
I couldn't look at him.
Did you and Travis ever hook up?
Nope.
Wow. Well, okay. So
nope.
I have a question that may be I don't know. I'm just going to ask it.
Do it.
God, how do I even ask this? Did you not feel it happen?
No. It's so weird, especially I think when you're that young. And I can say this, like, I'm going to be totally open and honest. Like, this is for all the ladies out there listening, and guys, you can totally, like, pick into my brain or womanhood.
I'm just gonna excuse myself from this podcast.
So when you're that,
I don't
like
wanna
your
talk about
body
this.
goes through like so many. You asked the question.
I don't want to talk about this.
Through so many questions, or your body goes through so many different kind of
Changes,
not questions. It's something you don't kind of feel coming on now as a 26-year-old. Oh, I get warned. Like, my body's like, F you. I'm preparing you. Be on the lookout. I already know, like, 2-3 days in advance. Like, my stomach starts to hurt. I feel nauseous. I feel bloated. Kind of crampy. A huge contributor is also if you're very athletic and you work out a lot. When I was in middle school, I was doing soccer. I was doing dance. I was very active. That helps in that process where it's like super light and you just really don't feel anything, which is great. But it sucks when you don't have a warning. So, no, it's one of those things like it happens and it's just kind of like, okay, like you just kind of time it around like you know when it happened last and just kind of just be prepared.
But I'm actually talking about
not wear white pants.
That's why I don't wear white pants.
Learned fast.
Now, okay, this is gonna go way too in depth, but I'm actually talking about the actual occurrence. Let me try to put this. So when, well, I
like
guess
physical symptoms.
No. So when I bleed, I feel the blood. Like you'll feel the blood. Do you not like when you were jumping on your friend's back? Do you not feel the?
So as like an 11-year-old, we're getting into so much detail here now. Your flow is different. Listeners, maybe wait. What's that thing that the USA article? Like, should we put some discllmer?
Warning.
I have no filter. Brian knows this already, so
your
we're like,
flow is different.
It is. It is.
Okay, I get it.
So no, you really don't. And if it's like day 1, much less. It's usually like day 2, day 3, and when you're that young, like. Day 4, you're done. So, like, you honestly, it's so weird to explain, but you really don't. Remember how I told you I felt a little weird and, like, my stomach was kind of like, I was like,
right,
but I don't really know. Like, and in the back of my mind, because I think, like I said, that had been maybe month 2 or 3, like, totally brand new to this, totally brand new. And, like, I had a feeling, but I was like, no, I think I'm fine. Like an idiot, I jump on Stephanie's back, and it's like, oh, Travis, hey, I think you need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, my God.
Like, I think I'm still scarred from it.
But I guess that it is kind of the same situation because, like I said, when I got hit by the softball last night, I felt swelling. I felt the aching. I didn't know that it was bleeding until I took my sock off and saw that there was blood.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I've gotten cut before. Like, oddly enough, I have my jacket on right now, but I busted up my elbow pretty badly like 2 weeks ago.
And you didn't know it was bleeding?
No.
Yeah.
And then I look over and it's literally dripping halfway down my hand. I was like, oh, crap.
All right, let's get away from talking about flow. Let's start. Let's roll back into This Is Us, and let's go right into Miguel.
So we're done talking about Tess getting her period and proclaiming that she's gay.
Which we'll, I'm sure, talk about in a few minutes again because it was in the fall finale last night.
I love making you feel uncomfortable. Please ask ask all the questions.
Like, I didn't wake up this morning thinking you would say to me that your flow is different. Like, that's not something I planned for in my day-to-day.
I'm preparing you for the day you get married. Just telling you. That's all.
Miguel.
Yeah, we definitely know his name now.
Miguel.
My hero, mind you. Continue,
yes.
But my hero.
I felt so bad for him when he was dealing with his family. And I love how they developed the character. Because I don't know if they like sensed that everybody was like, Miguel!
Had our feelings?
Exactly.
Yeah, probably.
And now it's like, Miguel, like he had such a horrible time dealing with his kids.
So here's the thing, it's like Miguel, but it was also like, yes,
right,
Miguel,
when he turns it around.
He stepped up to
Finally.
defend his wife.
Absolutely.
I was like, that was beautiful. And I'm sorry, I'm going to just go out there and say it, like, his son is such an ass.
His son is a brat.
An ass.
Oh my God.
And I legit applauded as I was sitting watching this last night, the daughter who reached her hand out to him and was like, hey, it's okay. Let it go.
But she didn't do
We're
that
here.
until he finally stood up for himself.
Yeah.
She kind of just sat there and let the
everything
son.
happen.
Yeah.
But then as a daughter, like, what do you really... I guess you can. You definitely can speak up and say something. But when it's not really... She had been kind of standoffish and cold, but not disrespectful at any point. At least I don't think so. Just wasn't really connecting.
Right.
The kid, the guy, the brother was just an ass. So at least when it got to that point where her brother got out of hand and he's like, look, I tried to mend this relationship for years, reaching out to you guys, phone calls, letters, wouldn't get anything back. And I'm still trying to make this work now. Don't throw things in the past, how things didn't work out with your mom and I, and now make my wife feel bad about it. Don't bring that into the equation.
And I think it kind of touches on how hard it is for kids in divorce, because when you're young, you don't really see the true story of what's going on. And so I can see them having a lot of, like, harboring a lot of feelings because of what they think Miguel was doing. But I mean, it wasn't his fault that him and the woman broke up and got divorced.
And not just that. If you remember the flashback to Thanksgiving, when Jack was around and everything too, Miguel comes into the house arguing with his, at that time, current wife.
Trying to talk to the kids.
And she wouldn't even let them.
That's what I'm saying.
And then when Jack and him had a one-on-one, and it's like, you're going to fight for your kids. You're going to be there. And you're going to show and tell them how much you love them because you're their father and you're going to represent that. You could already see there was tension and kind of a lack of a relationship because of the mother between the dad and the kids.
And the kids
so
don't
it's just
see
really
that.
sad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was really sad to kind of see that.
But I felt so happy for him. Like, the second he walked in the door at Randall's and the grandkids jump up on him and they're like,
so
cute. I just felt so good for him because
Yeah.
you felt his pain having to deal with that. And so the character has literally done like a 180.
Absolutely.
And I love Miguel now.
I do too. I was like,
love him.
I like to see this new side of him. I love it.
We finally found out about the necklace and where the necklace came from.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it is a romantic thing, like you said. I mean, she gave it to him. She gave it to him as a thank you for saving her son when Jack operated or like cleaned up his foot.
Yeah.
But I think there is going to be a romantic side to it.
See, that's so funny you say that now because I look at it differently now.
Oh, no crap!
Yes! I was like, this was a woman that was super appreciative because all the other soldiers...
Including Nikki.
Oh, definitely. Mostly including Nikki. Totally pushed them aside. They're bad people. Stay away.
Yeah.
So for her to see an American soldier, which the Vietnam War was tough as is, step up and take care of her son, I think she was just taken back and super thankful. At first I thought it was romantic, and now I'm like, that was just appreciation. So this will be interesting.
That's so funny how we've
We
totally 180 now.
We swapped.
All right, so the fall finale, I watched it this morning because, like I said, I was playing softball for 2 hours straight until like freaking midnight or something. But I watched it. I got 4 hours of sleep because of Aiden waking me up. I was up like at 4:30 in the morning. I was on pre-workout. I was in the middle of my workouts, like pausing it and starting it. So I could be all over the road with this episode. But
I'll help you out.
The one important thing I learned from the episode was how to spell copacetic, which I could take away.
The one thing, Fink. The one thing.
That's all I walked away from the episode was, oh, I spelled copacetic right.
So how awake were you for this? Did you pull an April for this episode?
I was not awake at all. But I mean, I definitely like paid attention to everything. Like, for example, how could anyone think that they would be able to teach without a college education? excuse me, let me correct that. Without a college degree, because she had some education.
Yeah.
How would you think that you could be a teacher? Like, I love that whole turn thing, and I was
That
like,
dynamic.
oh my God, she's going to be a teacher. This is awesome. But how could you even, like, go into that interview thinking that you'd be able to?
Sometimes it's little things that it's like common sense that just, whoop, flip your mind. Because literally that moment I'm watching the TV and I'm like, really? Really? Yeah, I had that moment. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's good old...
Kate.
Yeah.
Good old Kate.
Good old Kate.
Randall and Beth are so amazing together. Like when she is talking him down, like right before the debate.
He goes on the
and she's like, close your eyes, and just kind of brings him back to reality with everything. It was amazing. Like, I am gonna miss her so bad, and I'm gonna miss their dynamic so bad.
Yeah.
But last night, we pretty much saw the beginning of the end of Beth and Randall.
That was rough.
Of Bethandle?
But then, oh God,
Bethandle.
we're going there. We're going there. Okay.
But Beth is so, like, the actress is so good. Like,
she's such a strong woman.
when Tess comes to them at the end and she pulls Tess aside, and that speech that she gives to her, and look at me and look at your
dad.
I mean, she's such a good actress that I don't want to let her go. And we're going to have to let her go.
I'm like, hate to break it to you, buddy. Yeah. So then that brings us to the question you said.
Are you Team Randall or are you Team Beth?
As a woman and needing my man to be there for our family, it makes me want to say Team Beth. But being a person that's also very independent, ambitious, career-driven, if I start something, damn it, I need to finish it.
Right.
That's how I'm wired.
Here's the thing, though.
I think I'm more Team Randall.
Really? I think I'm Team Beth.
Really?
I love Randall to death. I think that what he was trying to do was amazing, but when you make that promise to your family, and your family has to come first.
And he did.
He made that promise to Beth.
I'm trying to backtrack. I actually forgot about that part.
He made that promise that if at any point during the campaign she didn't want him to run anymore, and she flat out says, I don't want you to run anymore. This campaign is over. And he says, well, sorry, I got to see it through. Right there, I'm like, damn, dude. Damn, you need to be
Priority
on the couch
check.
for a week.
Priority check.
I mean, I'm totally Team Beth on that.
I actually forgot about that, and not that I'm trying to switch my answer, but yeah, when you make a commitment and a promise is meant to last.
And the family was there first.
Yeah.
And the family is there a lot longer than this
it's
this
supposed
little
to
political
be
dream
a
is gonna be.
forever thing. Yeah.
So when you make that promise to your family, especially your wife,
who's been going through it as is and has been
who has been by your side.
Carry all and also by your side from the get-go. Yeah.
That sucked seeing that, because we kind of see that it's almost Randall's fault that this is happening.
I mean, let's be bold and say it is.
Yeah, it's definitely Randall's fault.
It is.
And we finally found out who they've been talking about this entire time about going to see, and it's Rebecca, which is kind of weird thinking back to it because of all the comments that they've made of saying, are you ready to see her? So I'm really interested to see what Rebecca's condition is going to be, especially since
I didn't think too much into that, but yeah.
When they grab Beth to tell her that they're coming to pick her up, and she talks about bringing the game, like the random game. And it's, it was...
What's the tie-in there?
I'm a little worried as to what this is going to be because of
you
all
think
the
it's
comments.
health related?
I don't know, but when you're saying, are you ready to see her? And now we learn that it is Rebecca. I'm kind of interested to see where they're taking that.
That'll be interesting. And by that point, I wonder if Miguel's going to be in the picture at all. Not that that's a huge component, but still, have you thought about that?
Miguel?
Oh my god! Okay, I didn't say jump off the deep end,
They cannot kill off Miguel.
Well, because now we like him.
Yes, I love Miguel.
Like him and we want him
I'm
to
Team
stay.
Miguel.
I know,
Congratulations
I know.
to Toby and Kate. It is a boy. And
Oh my god, that was so cute.
it was so awesome watching the reveal. The only problem with that is, did you watch the video, this baby reveal that caused the fires in Arizona?
No.
So there was the fires in Arizona that cost I think $8.7 million
Oh.
was caused by a baby reveal where they were in this brush area, very dry area. They set up this target or something and they shot at it and it exploded, and whatever igniting they used, that's what spread.
the fire.
And you literally in this video see the fire spread and them try putting it out. And that's the
It's too late.
the guy was found guilty of it and had to pay $8 million. He's making,
Because we all just have that laying around.
well, he's making he had a first payment of $100,000 and then he has to make payments until he recoups all that money that it cost to put out these fires. Not the latest LA fires or California
no.
fires. This was Arizona. But that's what, I'm watching this reveal going, oh, that's so awesome. Oh, my God.
Baby
Thank God you guys
reveal.
didn't,
Baby reveal.
set anything on fire.
Oh, God, we don't need more fire, and This Is Us as is. Can we be honest?
Very true point.
No more fire, please.
No more
No
fire.
more fire.
Do you remember how we talked? I think it was 2 weeks ago when we talked about how they pretty much have touched on every topic in This Is Us except suicide.
Yeah.
Last night's episode, the entire episode, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be it. They're going to touch on it. Nicky kills himself. This is it. This is how they do it. And it didn't happen.
No.
It was a total veer.
Yeah.
He didn't even die at war.
That is where I was like, what the heck?
Is that when you texted me did you watch the ending?
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, last night with all the development with Nicky, I mean, with the drug use and how war has completely screwed him up.
Oh, absolutely. And even that scene that was really intense where Jack is like, this is an order. And he's talking about helping the little boy and stitching him up. And he is hardcore no.
Yeah, from the Thanksgiving episode.
No,
Yeah.
yes. And walks out. And he goes into what he witnessed and a chicken being decapitated and relating it to possibly that being him and other things he witnessed. Yeah, it makes you wonder why he was physically there, but mentally nowhere near.
And it also
Nowhere near.
It also made me wonder if Jack had been there the same amount of time as Nicky.
No.
No. If Jack would be affected the same way. Now, granted, Jack's a very strong person compared to what Nicky is. We always saw that, with them growing up. But it just made me wonder if the war would have affected Jack as much as it did Nicky if he'd been there the entire time.
I think my 2 cents on that is it's not so much the duration, it's the experience. You can be there a month.
Right.
And go through hell, literally, or be there 3 years and not really have to witness any really graphic or traumatic occasions. So who knows? I mean, they kind of correlate. With more times, you're more exposed to situations occurring. Could have been. But I also don't think Nicky was there much longer, per se, than
when Jack got in?
Yeah.
Well,
right?
I told you, I think I told you about the story about my friend who was there and he was a sniper and he had this one incident where he almost had to take out a kid.
You did tell me this.
And
You did tell me
he
this.
flat out told me that and his gun jammed when he actually had to pull the trigger. And he flat out told me that if that would have happened, that would have messed him up even more for the rest of his life. Having to see a kid die like that.
And
Like
it being
him,
because of
him doing it. So, he's kind of saying that God was kind of looking out for him by jamming his gun at that 1 second and not having to go through with it.
Did he, and not to get too off subject or personal, Did he ever tell you why? Because I think it's
why he had to do it.
Yeah.
I think I was telling the story where the kid was rolling a tire from one building to the next, and they didn't know what was going on, and come to find out that the kid was rolling, I think, like ammunition or something in that tire, and he was kind of the mule getting it from one building to the other. And that's when, he told his sergeant, whoever was in charge, and they said, you need to take that kid out because he's the one that's rolling the that's rolling the stuff back.
This almost reminds me from a scene, I don't know if you ever saw it, of oh gosh, it was a book, it was a movie. Why am I drawing a blank right now?
Born on the 4th of July?
No.
I'm just throwing it out there. Platoon? I'm just going to throw out Full Metal Jacket?
No, it was a real life story. Came out within the past
Forrest
3 years.
Gump?
American Sniper?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you
With
remember?
Bradley Cooper. I didn't see it.
Okay, yeah, there's this one scene. It's almost identical to kind of what you're saying. And this kid was carrying something in his hand, and they thought it was a grenade.
That was one of the scenes that they would show in the previews and everything.
Of the movie. Of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that scene where, do I shoot him, do I not? And it wasn't something where the gun jammed up, but he waited too long to realize what it was, and thankfully he waited because it wasn't a grenade. But I feel like there's some, and correct me if I'm wrong, some law where you can't fire at a civilian or a kid. Is that a law?
Well, I imagine you can't fire at a civilian, but if that civilian is thought to be, then you can fire.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all bets are off in war.
At that point.
I don't think, there's obviously, war crimes and stuff.
Right.
But if
that's
you
more
suspect.
So what I mean. But what if you're wrong?
Well, then you're wrong. That stuff happens. Yeah, that's why
that's tough.
God bless our military for doing what they do. God bless them.
Amen.
All right, so we got to quickly wrap this up because we're on a hard time because the power's about to go off in our building.
Oh my God, that's happening.
so we got to make sure we're done.
True.
But last night's episode, which was the fall finale, ends with us finding out that Nikki didn't die at war. The boat exploded. Jack runs out there. We're thinking that it has something to do with Nikki.
I would say, because that really confused me, how it's super built up, borderline dramatic, jumps into the water, starts swimming to God knows what. I'm assuming to Nikki, but he doesn't even know where Nikki's at.
And then we see a flash of Nikki at home, an old
present
man.
Day.
I don't know if that was
I think.
You think that was present day? I didn't even think about that.
What did you think?
I thought it was just like a flash to a guy like with his mail, like just tipping us off that was Nikki.
Yeah, no, I think that was Nikki present day.
So
that's why I freaked out, and I was like texting you at midnight, even though you made me feel like a crazy person.
You are.
Digress. Anyways, yes.
You think Nikki's alive when Jack isn't?
Yes.
Oh my God! Like I'm rocking in my chair because I'm like, oh my God, what a turn!
Tell me more.
Oh my God, you can't rock because you're just locked. We have until January 15th to figure everything out.
Why do you think I was freaking out?
I didn't even think about that. Like literally.
Now I have to wait.
Oh my God! Okay, I need to stop rocking.
I think he's well and alive. I think that's our friend.
That would be incredible.
How much you want to bet on it? A penny? And then if
let's do a $2 bill. Let's do a $2 bill.
All right, deal.
$2 bill.
$2 bill.
That was so awkward. We just can't do pinky promises. At Brian Fink, at April on air. Remember, subscribe, follow the Totally Spoiled podcast so you get the notification. Love you so much for being part of the show.
If you're in on the $2 bet, let's drain Brian dry. Let's go.
Wow, that escalated very quickly.